See this church on the left, St. Peter's? About 10 years ago, I saw a Beatle Ringo Starr coming out of this church. That was exciting. You never know who you're going to see in London, you know. Oh, I just feel like telling you guys this story. So being a Londoner, I've been a London tour guide for 21 years and I've lived here all my life. Many times I've seen the royal convoys driving past me with various members of the royal family. Now there was this one day about 8 years ago, I was on the Mall and I was doing some research for my walking tours. It was like a Tuesday afternoon in November, about 2 in the afternoon. There was not many people around. Anyway, they send the police motorbikes ahead and they stop the traffic. And when it's a wide road, they stop the pedestrians as well. Well, as the royal convoy got closer to me, when I realised it was the Queen in the car, I got very, very excited. And then as the Queen drove past me, I was literally jumping up and down and waving with excitement. And the Queen saw me, and you know what? We made eye contact, and she smiled and nodded at me and gave me the famous royal wave back. Get in! So guys, if you see a royal convoy driving past you whilst you're here in London, because it might happen, now you know what to do, because it worked for me and it might work for you too. You see, the King and Camilla, they still travel in those vintage Rolls Royce from the 1950s, and they have clear windows so you can see them. The King's sister, Princess Anne, she uses one of those as well. The younger members of the royal family, unfortunately you can't see them. They travel in Range Rovers with dark windows because they don't want to risk getting chased by the paparazzi, because obviously what happened with Diana. Yes, yes. So when you see them being taken through the Wellington Arch, it's often William and Catherine going to Kensington Palace. Yeah. These are the royal mews here. So these are the King's stables here, and they keep the royal fleet of limousines and the horse-drawn carriages. Guys, I don't recommend eating in any of these places here to the right, okay? They're notoriously bad. But the Buckingham Palace shop is lovely. They've got 2 gift shops, gorgeous stuff in there. So if you want to see the front of Buckingham Palace, you do have to get off at the next stop, because no large vehicles, buses or lorries or trucks have been allowed to drive past the front of Buckingham Palace for nearly 50 years. It's just a security protocol. We can't do anything about that. So I think some of you are getting off here, aren't you? So just walk to the traffic lights and go left. I hope you enjoyed being on this tour with me. Okay, thank you. All right, it was lovely to meet you guys. Take care. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, madam. Pleasure. Goodbye, you guys. Lovely to meet you. And we've got a bus every 20 minutes. Thank you very much. Goodbye, everybody. See, or let me show you this other idea I had for you. just there, about 30 seconds, and take the second one on the left. Then you'll be in the lovely piazza.
What's the
This is called here. It's by the Ritz. It's down a bit from the Ritz Hotel. It's this bit, really closer. That's the Burlington Arcade. And the beautiful shop Fulton and Mason, which is almost opposite it. Marks and Spencer.
Oh, sorry.
I wish. Yeah, Marks and Spencer's, M&S. You'll see M&S branches all over London. Most of them are food in central London. There you go. How about that? I think that would be nicer for you. Oh, when you walk into Covent Garden, you won't be able to decide where you want to eat. You know, I'd recommend having a Sunday roast. So it's a bit like a Christmas dinner. You can only get it on a Sunday here. So there'll be a choice of 3 or 4 meats. I would choose the roast beef, but that's what I was doing. Then you get like 10 different vegetables, and it's most British people's favourite meal. You can only get it here on a Sunday. And you'll be able to in most of the pubs. In fact, there is a pub, so when you is on the corner here of the Strand, there's a pub there, the Wellington. You can check to see if they do a Sunday roast. I don't. Yeah, you'll come across here and you'll see that just before the Lion here. You could check in there and then go and have a little meander.
You say Lion pubs have it?
Yeah, most pubs. And a lot of pubs will stop serving it at 6 because we have it as a late, big lunch.
Have a date with you at 7.
You do. I'll look forward to seeing you again. And I'll tell different stories on my tour, especially for you.
I can move here.
See, if you look over here to the left, see with the darker sandstone, this was built to be Buckingham House. And this would have been the front door on this side. The oldest part of it opened in 1705, and it was built to be the Duke of Buckingham's London residence. And then as he was getting older, the Duke of Buckingham, he sold it on to King George III in 1761. But the first monarch to live here was Queen Victoria, who moved in 1837. Now we have to turn right here, but look left, because that's the beautiful Queen Victoria Memorial. And before that, more of our kings and queens here in London lived in Kensington Palace and St James's Palace. But the preferred residence of all of our monarchs has always been Windsor Castle. Windsor's about 22 miles from here. Windsor is the oldest constantly inhabited castle in the world, 950 years old. On the left here are the Wellington Barracks, and this is the army here. So there are 5 regiments of the British Army that are based here: the Coldstream, Grenadier, Scots, Irish and Welsh Guards. And these are the regiments that take turns to do the changing of the guard at Buckingham Palace. It's not the nicest building, but it's to keep our army personnel nice and safe. To the right of us here, this is the headquarters of the London Underground. London has got the oldest, largest underground railway system in the world. The oldest part of our tube opened in 1863. That's 161 years ago. Just think about it for a minute. There would have been Victorian ladies wearing corsets and, you know, their big dresses, getting on the tube. Well, how about this for some food for thought? Jack the Ripper. He committed his horrible crimes in London in 1888, so he might have used the tube as well. Obviously we'll never know. So now we're going to go and see the other side of Westminster Abbey. So you'll see it coming into view here ahead of us with the white stone. This is the royal and west entrance into the Abbey. So this side of the Abbey is 300 years old. The rest of it is 800 years old, but this side of it here is so beautiful. You might recognise it if you watched the Queen's funeral, or if you remember Princess Diana's funeral that was here in 1997. A much happier occasion here was when William and Catherine got married in 2011. I never call her Kate, because William always refers to his wife as Catherine. And I happen to have a mother called Catherine, and my mother really hates it when people call her Kate. Now, normally the capacity of Westminster Abbey is 1,400 people, but for the Queen's funeral they managed to squeeze in another 400 people. But only President Biden was allowed his own limousine. Look how small the roads are here. There is no way you could have had hundreds of limousines bringing all these dignitaries and European royalty in and out. Now, I was watching it all on television. So after the incredible service at the Abbey, then I was watching all the dignitaries coming out of this entrance here, and they were all lining up against the little fence here. Now, I saw the King and Queen of Spain, the Emperor and Empress of Japan, the King and Queen of Jordan, various other celebrities and dignitaries. And you know what came into my head? I thought, I wonder when the Emperor of Japan has ever stood in a line and waited for a bus before. I don't think so. Probably never will ever again. But you can see how it was necessary. So there has been a church with a monastery here on the site of Westminster Abbey since the 9th century. The actual abbey was first built in 1042 by Edward the Confessor, and he's buried here. But most of the rest of this building is 800 years old. But this is a church has existed here before any of the other buildings that was built around here. And actually, this area used to be called Thorney Island, and it was like swampy marshlands that ran off the River Thames. And where the Abbey is, it was like an island in the middle of a swamp. Yeah. This beautiful building here on the right is called the Sanctuary Building, and its offices here at the front of Charities now. And if you went through the archway, that's how you get into Westminster School and Westminster Choir School. And then here on the left, this is Methodist Central Hall. So you know, in the Methodist religion, they don't have churches, they have halls. But this building was where the United Nations first met for 6 weeks of meetings in early 1946 to try and put the world back together again after the Second World War. Yeah. This is a big conference centre here on the left, the QE2 Centre. That's one of the most secure buildings in London. You know, if there was some kind of attack on London, they can shut it all up like a giant strong room, but it's a building. You know, they want to start renovating the House of Lords at Parliament, and they're trying to get the Lords to move into this building because it would make sense. They're close to everything, but some of those old Lords have been a bit resistant to that idea. See here on the pillar, this is St. George, the patron saint of England, and he's just slaughtered the last dragon. But we don't celebrate our patron saint the way the Irish celebrate St. Patrick's. No. It's St. David's Day. So, for those of you who weren't on the tour with me, I'll just do a little reminder. So, 40 of our kings and queens have been crowned at Westminster Abbey. There are 17 monarchs buried here in the Royal Chamber. There's lots and lots of other famous people buried in the crypt, including Charles Darwin, Charles Dickens, Handel, Sir Isaac Newton and many others. Very occasionally people get offered a burial spot in Westminster Abbey and turn it down. Winston Churchill turned it down. When he was offered the burial spot here, he said, "No one has ever walked over me in my life, and nor shall they do in my death." The real reason though is because he wanted to be reburied with his own family and ancestors near Blenheim Palace. That's right, that's the ancestral home of his family.